Recently, hold on. Alright, there we go. Recently, Sonic 06 came back into light as a sort of a hot topic. Not that it's ever, well, not been a hot topic per se, but it started numerous debates recently after an interview with some big leads on Shadow Generations came out. One of these people being Shun Nakamura, a producer of the game. In this interview, Nakamura talked about remakes the fans wanted, mentioning SA1 and 2 alongside Heroes. But he said that personally, he would like to remake 06. This in no way guarantees a remake will happen. It could or it couldn't, and there's no real use in talking about the possibility of that. However, this sparked another fiery X the Everything app debate with Sonic fans. That being, does Sonic 06 need a remake? No shit it does. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here, so let me explain something. The reason people were hesitant at all towards a remake stems from a few reasons. Before I look at them, obligatory subscribe if you like the video a bit. You guys know the drill with that, but also join the Discord link in the description. Alright, now back to the reasons. 1. The gameplay. What if they remake it and make it a boost title? What if it feels worse? What if they redo too much? First off, you need to realize how batshit insane it is to think that Sonic Team would take the time to redesign every level to work with the boost formula. You can't just plop a boost Sonic in a wave ocean, it simply won't work. By adding the boost in, you have to completely redesign the levels to work with it, otherwise it's like you're playing a Dark Souls game with the control scheme and movement of fucking Mario. So no, that makes no sense at all. Secondly, I find it highly unlikely the game would feel worse. I'm going to be using Project 06 a lot as a comparison, and while I know comparing fan projects to Sonic games is all around a very toxic mindset, this one gets a clear excuse because it is Sonic 06. P06 shows that making the characters in the game feel fun actually isn't a very hard task. A lot of the problems 06 faced were fundamental, mostly stemming to how some characters control it and the overabundance of bugs and glitches. The level design was actually good, present by the lack of changes made towards them in P06. It just so happened that it was nearly impossible to appreciate the level design because of the faults of the character control and glitches. The changes made in P06 aren't actually that crazy, most of them come down to tweaks and whatnot. Simply making most characters faster goes a long way, as this doesn't actually mess with the levels. A simple change in speed a lot of the time can make it so levels have to be redesigned to accommodate. Those shitty stage ports in fan games or generations never usually work because you can't just put a way faster Sonic in those levels because, well, nearly everything in the level loses its purpose and becomes obsolete. However, that's not the case here. The levels work just fine with the Sonic with extra speed. If anything, it makes them objectively better. There are a lot of these easy enough changes that make the game way more fun. Amy had a pitiful attack hitbox as well as an attack in general. I'm pretty sure you stalled to a halt as well when you swung her hammer. So, in P06, Chaos X, the creator, just simply made the hitbox bigger, the attack stronger, and let her move during the attack, and just like that, most of Amy's complaints are addressed and fixed. This goes for other characters as well, and the changes usually come down to speed improvements along with general improvements and additions. Tails in Base 06 only had this shitty ring bomb attack, so in P06 he was given a simple tail swing attack, and now combat is no longer a slog with him. It's little tweaks and changes like that that are easily doable. The only reason they weren't in 06 is because devs probably weren't given enough time to see what speed was best for the characters, or what attacks or moves needed to be tweaked and whatnot. With dev time, these are things that could easily be improved. For an 06 remake to feel worse, you would have to... I don't even know. I can't even think of a joke because that's so absurd it's not even fathomable. I get that Sonic remasters and whatnot can be easy to look at and send shivers down your spine thinking about another, but in the right hands, it's no big deal. Just give the developers time to finish the game and it'll just be alright. Probably. The amount of glitches are genuinely impressive, but I think most could be remedied by simply finishing unfinished codes or just switching to a different engine. Because as someone working on a game, and I get it, Sonic is a whole different beast from what we're making, it's not the same. While glitches are present, the fundamental stability of a game should never be like that. It's actually impressive in a scary kind of way that that game was even capable of all those glitches. So yeah, improving the gameplay is actually pretty easy, just don't fuck it up. With a remake, it would be likely to get a rewrite, to get a rewrite, nailed it, let's go, and people don't want that. Why? For one, I've seen people defend the story of 06 and say it's great, and, well, that's partially true. Isolated aspects like Shadow's story and parts of Silver's story are great, but in the end, it doesn't matter because character interactions are super weak for the most part. There's a lot of plot holes and inconsistencies, meaning if we wanted to overthink everything, there are technically 2 Omegas now. Yeah, don't think about that too hard because Sega definitely didn't. Mephiles as a character is cool, but the things he does don't make sense. For example, he could have ended the story from the start, as he's shown to just summon the Chaos Emeralds and kill Sonic for himself, even though he wanted Silver to kill Sonic, and I don't even remember his plan with the Chaos Emeralds, but if he can just get them, then, like, why does anything happen? That should probably be, yeah, that's why. I misspelled characters as chaos. I don't even know how the fuck I did that. Some characters have no reason to exist in this game. Name a single thing Knuckles does in the story besides tweaking. It's a very sloppy story, one that really felt like a first draft. If it had some revisions, I have no doubt that it could have been one of the best. It doesn't have too many fundamental flaws, I don't think. I think it's easy to rewrite a lot of stuff for consistency's sake. Only Stinker, I think, is Elise, because fundamentally, she's a bland and boring character, and her relationship with Sonic is, it's not something you can just erase, because, well, then Elise serves no point as a character. If Elise's story, being mostly intact, is all we have to worry about, then I think we're fine. I can deal with that. The other reason people are worried is because of Ian Flynn. I would hate to be this guy. He gets shit on no matter what. Sonic gets worried and tries to think rationally. Nope, he wouldn't do that. He doesn't have time to think. He just does, says someone who takes everything too literally. There's so many references in Frontiers, it's ridiculous, they say, not noticing most of it is completely optional and aids to tie together inconsistencies and glue together the Sonic lore. Sonic acted out of character here, they say, not realizing that a character is actually, believe it or not, allowed to act out of character every so often if it makes for a good story and doesn't assassinate character. Which it doesn't. The main thing people are worried about is because of the Generations rewrite. The rewrites aren't very good, I'm with you on that. However, at their worst, they're inoffensive, and I know for a fact he wasn't able to do as much as he wanted due to budget and whatnot. A full true rewrite would require a much higher budget and much more time. So, instead, we're left with a kinda half-step of a rewrite, which isn't entirely his fault. People tend to ignore that when given a full budget, or, well, a full enough budget, Ian Flynn can really deliver present in, you know, Shadow Generations, the last Sonic game. I think revising the drafts of the original game is the best way to go about it. I would not leave it intact because, as is, it's an objectively flawed story with potential to be great with improvements. I think it could be fixed and patched up. It's straight up just a matter of making a good revision. The way Ian Flynn writes certain characters, notably Sonic himself, doesn't really fit his personality in 06, so I think an easy prevention for him maybe going too far off course is simply to just have some assistance, which I don't think at all is a negative for Flynn's part. It's a writer's room for a reason. Having just one writer with no help is never a good thing. The third thing people are skeptical about, the visuals. I think this one is just a bit silly. People are worried about the art direction of the game will change and be too different from that of base 06's art style, and to that I say, when did people like the art direction of 06? It's easily one of the least visually appealing Sonic games out there and has been since its inception. This realistic art style just limited the appeal of stages and environments. We've seen how they can be improved without a realistic art style with Crisis City and Gens and Kingdom Valley and Shadow Gens, which I think look way better than the originals. The only thing I find at all worthy of talking about in the visuals department is the models. This game's rendition of Sonic and Friends was interesting because it was really the only time we saw these characters with these really lanky proportions and whatnot, not counting Boom. Sonic was taller, had lengthier quills alongside Shadow, and, well, not Silver. He came out of the gate swinging like this. All they just ended up doing post-6 was just giving him leg reduction surgery, so whatever. But the models in 06 are way different from most Sonic models, and the fact on if the designs are good or not is purely subjective. Some people hate the lankier proportions and desaturated colors, although the latter not really being a model issue, and that's totally fine. I and other people, however, just like these models, plain and simple. It's not my favorite Sonic model by any means, but I've always liked the longer quills of this model, which is why I'm not a huge fan of the Forces model, because they always began looking less and less like spikes and more like cushiony pillow, which is cute for a plush, but then the point of the spines just doesn't. Yeah, I'm cutting this part out. If they replace the models, that's fine. If they kept it, that's also fine. However, replacing comes with the importance of not making the design that of more modern versions like Unleashed or Forces. We've already seen that aging up a Sonic model doesn't really work like in SADX, because then the gradual design transition from the game to game just makes no sense. Having the Unleashed model, but specifically the Force model, would be a horrible idea. I think the best thing to do is either keep it but maybe just make him less lanky, or create a rendition that's a mix between Shadow 05 CGI Sonic and Unleashed Sonic. Well, that's basically it. Oh my goodness, not even close. The amount of changes I could wish for is astronomical, and really, I've only talked about a few big ones. I listed probably only like, what, 1% of the changes even made in PO6? So, TLDR, how would I remake Sonic 06? Take the gameplay and changes made from PO6, give the characters different models if you want, overhaul hub worlds and missions, and revise the story. That's the main stuff I think is needed to make a worthy remake of Sonic 06. I know in my last video I said the next video would be longer. While technically true, this isn't what I meant. I have a longer video that I knew wouldn't be done by now, so I did this one first. Next week, though, I'm going to be taking a look at Sonic Unleashed on the Wii, a core childhood game for me, and seeing if I actually like it or if I'm blinded by nostalgia. If you guys enjoyed, I don't have to say, you know what to do. See you next week. Peace.